Hey, what's going on, everybody? How you doing? I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from Your Black World, the Black Business School, and I'm sitting here. I'm in Guyana, as you know, and been in Guyana, just kind of learning a little bit more about people, life, blackness, everything. Um, and I think that the reason that I want to hang out in Guyana for a while is because it gives me an opportunity to learn, just a little bit more about what it means to be black and, just who I am as a person and kind of what the next move is, for black folks. And one of the things I want to talk about is some stuff I've been seeing in the media with uh, Nas and Lauryn Hill. But before I actually jump into that, what I want to actually ask you guys to do is to take 1 second and please hit the share button and the like button and also the subscribe button to just sort of support what we're doing. Let us know, show your love, just kind of let us know that you approve this message and that you are part of the Black economic revolution that's happening in this country. I believe that this is arguably the most important movement definitely in the last 50 years, maybe in the last 200 years for black people. I really believe that. It doesn't mean that that other movements haven't been very important. It doesn't mean that we have not achieved in other areas. It does not mean that other work is not important. All work is important. We know that as long as you're moving black folks forward. But I really believe that the key to power in America for black people has always been economics. I know in my own individual journey as a black man, as a black man in America, in a country where black men are castrated on a regular basis. They don't just castrate you physically. They don't just come cut your balls off straight up. What they'll do is they cut your balls off economically, and then you have no power. They cut your balls off psychologically so that you are left ignorant and intimidated. They cut your balls off spiritually so that you give up too easy. That's how black men get castrated. That's how black men end up, as weak as worms in a competitive society. It's not our fault, but it is our responsibility to fix it. We didn't make the mess, but it is our job to clean the mess up. We didn't do this damage. We didn't do this to ourselves. We know this. But talking about who did it ain't the same as setting them motherfuckers straight. Now, with that said, I wanted to also remind you guys that Taylor, thank you. Sometimes you got to talk to the kids and let them know that you're talking. Anyway, so here's the thing. Sorry, before I forget, actually, I want to remind you guys, don't forget that the All Black National Convention is taking place September 29th through October 1st in Louisville, Kentucky. Make sure that you take a look and consider coming out. It's going to be amazing. We're going to have awesome people there. We've got Jay Morrison, Mr. Real Estate, coming through, who's going to announce what he's doing with the Tulsa Real Estate Fund, where we're going to raise millions of dollars to go buy up real estate all around the world. You've got Zaza Ali, who is one of the just most amazing black women that I've ever seen in terms of what she's doing in the community, what she's speaking on and teaching. We're going to have Dr. Kevin Cosby, the president of Simmons College, who's going to grace us with his presence. He actually went and bought an HBCU that had fallen from grace. Integration happened. When integration happened, black folks lost a lot of our institutions. And so he went and got his church to get behind him to go literally buy the land back and the buildings back from Simmons College, which was a school that has educated thousands and thousands of people. And he has risen that school back up from the ashes, just done amazing things. So anyway, I hope you guys will go take a look. You can go to allblacknationalconvention.com. That's allblacknationalconvention.com. Now, let me let me dig into this and tell you what was on my mind. The reason I'm doing this podcast. Later on today, I'll be talking online with Willie D from the Ghetto Boys. He's coming through to the convention as well. Dr. Cleo Monago, I wanted to have him in. Chris Broussard, I'll be talking to him as well. Chris Broussard's on Fox Sports and ESPN. You know, he's a good brother. These are just good people. I talk to them because they're good men, not because they're famous men. I don't care nothing about that. So anyway, here's what I wanted to kind of discuss. I noticed I was watching, sort of looking in at this site. It was called Afropunk. I don't know much about Afropunk. I don't really read their stuff that much, but they seem decent. And they were talking about this tour. There's a tour where Nas and Lauryn Hill are going to, go around the country promoting Powernomics. And I saw, what was going on. I said, oh, this is interesting. I mean, it's a great next logical step, right? Because you saw where Jay-Z was rapping about, financial freedom, which I totally co-signed and approve of 444. I thought it was a great album. I thought it was a great contribution to humanity that Jay-Z made by talking about the steps toward wealth building, which everybody can take. Don't listen to those people that tell you that building wealth is stupid and that you can't do it and all that. Those people are crazy. They're full of shit. They're trying to destroy your spirit. Some of your biggest enemies of black people are black people. Let's just be real about that. There is no magical wall that says a white man can do certain things that you can't do. Anything he can do, you could do, and you could probably do it better. Seriously. So just don't listen to anybody who says you can't do it. You ain't got to be like Jay-Z. You ain't got to be, you ain't got to be materialistic. You ain't got to be a money hungry person. You don't have to be a bad person. You don't have to be the root of all evil. But at the same time, everybody's got to eat. And it's better when you eat off of the food that you were able to hunt. It's better when you eat off of the money that you're able to make independently. It's better when you eat off of something that's built by you as opposed to eating off the nipple of a white man who doesn't like you, who hates your guts. That's tragic. That's crazy. That's ridiculous. So anyway, my point in all this is to say that I liked what Jay-Z did. I was really, really, really happy. I felt like it was a huge step forward for black people. It was a huge step forward for hip hop. It was a huge step forward for Jay-Z. And without going into too much detail, I remember having a long conversation with Beyonce's manager, one of her managers that manages the tour and all that. And I just told him, I said, man, he was telling me a lot of good things. He said, well, Jay really believes this and believes that. And he's really down. I said, well, I ain't really seeing all of that. I mean, I don't really feel like he's representing, the best of what we can be as people. I don't feel I get tired of these rappers that are, where they're brilliant in private, but they become coons in public. When you get with your friends, you get with white folks, you're talking intelligent. You're talking about investments and trust funds and mutual funds and the stock market and asset allocation. When you get around black people, you're talking about silly stuff. You're talking about childish stuff. 50 Cent used to do that stuff. It drove me crazy. I looked at an interview he did in, I think it was the New Yorker or one of those white magazines that I would never want to, that I don't care much about. And he was, he was talking all intelligent and trying to be impressive, talking about his investments, his portfolios and all that. But then he goes over to Double XL, the black magazine where black kids are reading, and he ain't giving them the intelligence. He's giving them the garbage. He's giving them, he's talking about, yeah, I got 5 guns and I got 14 bitches and I'll shoot a nigga in the head if he fuck with me. I'm like, what are you talking about, dude? Like, really? I got shot 9 times. Okay, great. I mean, I'm sorry to hear that. That sounds like it hurts. But we heard that. We knew that. We learned that a long time ago. Now tell us how you were able to build a brand. Show us how you were able to develop your TV shows. Talk about how you were able to figure out how to make hit music, how you were able to create the G Unit brand, and make it into something that it was. I mean, there was some brilliant business moves being made. And I think that we should tell our children where the secret sauce is. It reminds me of Killer Mike had a song like that, a song called Reagan. And in the song, he had a good verse on that. Let me see if I can find it. Let me see here. By the way, while I do this, please take 1 second, hit the thumbs up button and hit the share button, the subscribe button. Killer Mike is my homeboy. So I love to give props to him because I met him because you know, I saw his song he did with Ice Cube called "Put the Pressure on Him," and I said, "Whoa, this is actually, they're actually really talking about something that's real. They're not cooning. They're actually speaking on the things I think Black men need to talk about." It's a great song. It's called "Put the Pressure on." Go Google it. You'll love this song. Anyway, he says in the song, here we go. He says, "The ballad of the bullet, some freedom from some bullshit. Will we ever do it big or keep settling for little shit? We brag on having bread, but none of us are bakers. We all talk having greens, but none of us own acres. If none of us own acres and none of us grow wheat, then who will feed our people when our people need to eat? So it seems our people starve from lack of understanding. Because now this is important, pay attention. He says, so it seems our people starve from lack of understanding because all we seem to give them is some balling and some dancing and some talking about our car and imaginary mansions. We should be indicted for bullshit we inciting, handing children death and pretending it's exciting. We are advertisements for agony and pain. We exploit the youth. We tell them to join a gang. We tell dope stories, introduce them to the game, just like Oliver North introduced us to cocaine in the 80s when them bricks came on military planes. Now, I'm going to tell you what, you know, and I'm not saying this because Mike's my friend. That's one of the best verses I've ever heard, you know, in a hip hop song ever, you know. And if every rapper was rapping like that, Black people would probably advance about 100 years. If all of our kids were hearing were thought-provoking lyrical content that was really helping them grow, we would be so far advanced. Instead, you got, you know, Molly Percocet, you know, everybody do the wobble. You know, you spend all your time getting high and dancing, you ain't never gonna be ready to fight nobody. You know, you will never be the king. You will always be the clown. You will never be the leader. You will always be the coon. You will never be at the front of the line. You will always be the back. You will never be the hero. You will always be the laughing stock. You will never be respected. People will always look past you. People will never take you seriously. The thing is, for Black people, people don't take us seriously. Nobody takes us seriously. The only time they take us seriously is when a cop's ready to shoot your son in the head because he sees him as a threat. At that point, he takes him seriously. But beyond that, they don't ever wake up wondering if Black people are going to compete with them to win the next Nobel Prize. They don't ever wonder if, you know, Black people are going to come together and invent a cure for some disease that they haven't been able to cure, or able to compete with them, you know, in the development of venture capital funds that will compete with them to make investment moves in certain areas across the country. They always see Black people as kind of like this weak little charity case, like we are meant to be in last place, like, you know, like they're the Harlem Globetrotters and we're the Washington Wizards. You know, all we can ever do is complain about victimization. And, you know, a lot of that is pre-planned. A lot of that is predictable, very predictable. You can predict the next 5 years of a lot of people's lives just by how you're living your life right now today. The day-to-day decisions that you're making in your life are a ready predictor of whether or not you're going to spend the next 5 years as a victor or a victim. You know, so anyway, let me jump more into what because I don't want to stray too far from the topic. It does actually lead to something. So anyway, with Killer Mike, you know, I love Killer Mike. He was at the All Black National Convention last year. He's not there for this one. Willie D from the Ghetto Boys and some other artists are coming through to represent the hip hop artists. But I'm gonna have Killer Mike come back again because, you know, he said a lot of things that I really love. David Banner did as well. So there's a lot of really smart rappers out here. Rappers that really, I think, could be tremendous leaders when they kind of wake up. You know, and I think Jay-Z is evolving into that kind of person. I know that I was extremely critical of him when he disrespected Harry Belafonte. I was also critical of him when I talked to Beyonce's manager on the phone. But then when he came out with 444, I mean, he killed my criticism. He shut me down fast. He made me quiet as a church mouse. I said, well, you know, okay, he's doing it. And what I also really believe, though, that's really amazing about all of this is that I've always had a lot of faith in what we're doing with this economic empowerment movement. You know, I don't know about y'all, but I know when I started talking about economic empowerment and all that stuff, you know, 10, 15, 20 years ago, wasn't nobody really listening. I mean, I've been studying finance since I was 18. You know, even when I was writing at the University of Kentucky in the 1990s, you know, I would talk about, you know, the wealth issues in America. I mean, as a PhD student, you know a lot of stuff. By the time I was 28, I think I've been teaching college students for 6 years. So I knew a lot of stuff even back then. And I would just write about stuff and talk about it. And it was like nobody was hearing anything. Everybody thought that I was weird and too serious and all this other stuff. And what you've seen in the last 5 to 6 years, is you really seen just an awakening of the community, where they're making a logical connection that says, look, we know money matters. We know that money is important because all we do is talk about it every day. All we're doing is we spend our whole damn life, looking for jobs, stressing over money, trying to find a way to get money. Rappers talk. What do rappers say over and over again? Get money, get money. I was listening to the lyrics from that one song because the kids like it. What was it? I just want a rolly, rolly, rolly. and I'm like, what's a rolly? Is that like roly poly? Like what the fuck is that? And she's like, no, it's a Rolex. I was like, oh, okay. So he wants a rolly and he wants to shine and nice car and all that. And I said, well, if our kids are, sort of, if you want all of that, then why wouldn't you go study how to go get a rolly? Why don't you go study how to build your wealth up so you can buy whatever you want and still take care of your family? Like, I don't think there's anything wrong. I mean, if people want Rolex, I don't wear that type of stuff. But if somebody wants a Rolex, it's all good. But why would you want a Rolex, but then you don't want to learn nothing about financial literacy? You don't want to know nothing about investing. That's like saying I want to eat at McDonald's, but I don't want to pay attention when you tell me how to get to McDonald's. Like you trying to give me a map. Okay, McDonald's is this way, and you need to earn $10 to buy you a value meal and the drink or whatever. And I'm like, I don't want to hear all that. I just want to sit around and talk about how bad I want McDonald's. You're like, no. But listen, I can tell you, I'm gonna tell you how to get to McDonald's. You gotta just no, I don't want to hear all that. I just want a cheeseburger. Like, why would I sit around talking about how bad I want a cheeseburger, but I don't want to listen when you tell me how to get to McDonald's? Like that's weird, right? That wouldn't make any sense. So to me, when I hear kids, or rappers or anybody talking about get money. I'm like, okay, let's get money. Let me show you. I have a PhD in finance. I know all about money. I know where the money's at. I know the skills you need to go get it. I know ways that you can protect it. I know ways that you can grow it. Let's get money. Let's talk about that. And they're like, no, I don't want to do all that. I just want to sit around and wish for certain things. I want to feel bad about the things that nobody's giving me and how bad everybody's treating me, but I don't want to actually do the work. And what it is that people just don't want to do the work. That's what it is. It's easier to sit around and wish and fantasize and hope for the best. But, when reality slaps you in the face, that's when you take that time to realize, wait a minute, if I want to have something, I got to go build something. If I really need something, I got to go get something. If I want to have it in my pocket, I need to learn how to go acquire it. If I want to eat tonight, I need to learn how to hunt. So anyway, one of the things I saw was this tour. I saw that Nas and Lauryn Hill, two of the greatest performers of all time. I mean, they go back 20-something years, and both of them are extraordinary. They've announced that they are going to do a Powernomics tour. And I saw this, and I was like, oh, okay. Well, that's another big step because, first Jay-Z's talking about financial freedom, everything. Now, Nas and Lauryn Hill, acknowledging Powernomics. Powernomics is the title of the book by Dr. Claude Anderson. I think he might actually have that term copywritten or trademarked. So I don't know what implications that would have. I would hope that they would have a conversation with Dr. Anderson about calling it the Powernomics tour, because remember, he coined that term Powernomics. That is his book, that is his brand, that is his title, and he didn't start jumping on the bandwagon in 2017. He was talking Powernomics in 1992. So, it's just like in music, if you're going to sample from somebody else's song, you need to acknowledge who you're sampling from. You cannot steal from one of the greatest economic OGs in the history of this country. He's right there with the Marcus Garveys. He's right there with the Malcolm X's. He's right there with all the great builders, in the history of the Black community. So I would just hope and pray that they are showing some degree of respect to the person from whom this term Powernomics comes from. You just can't take it. Like you'll never see Boyce Watkins doing a Powernomics tour. It might be the financial Juneteenth tour, the economic empowerment tour, all of that. You've seen that, but you will never see me do a Powernomics tour unless I have gotten Dr. Anderson to go on the road with me. Believe me, behind the scenes, we have had I've had extensive negotiations with his team about making sure he gets compensated. We've given him thousands of dollars over the years, because I want to make sure he gets compensated, as well as, y'all know that I rep for Dr. Anderson. When I'm out and I speak on him, I give him that credit for being the originator of all of this. His legacy, I am his legacy. I am Farrakhan's legacy. So you'll never see me disrespect those guys on any level. So anyway, I think that the tour is a great idea. I hope Lauryn Hill is doing well. I haven't heard the best things about her on tour. It seems kind of up and down. I don't know what she's going through. It makes me kind of sad in a way, because I see Lauryn. I've always seen Lauryn Hill in that category. There's basically at least three people that I look at and I see that they had a window to greatness, to an extraordinary, an extraordinary, extraordinary career. It was Lauryn Hill, DMX, and Mike Tyson. Like, those three people I felt were just, talents beyond imagination, beyond anything we'd ever seen. And all three of their careers got kind of cut short, by some circumstances that were unfortunate. So, but I'm glad to see Lauryn Hill's back. I'm glad to see that she's into Powernomics. I think that they're the perfect people to take the Powernomics concept to the next level. Now, let's see here. Adrian says Dr. Anderson dropped a video on his Facebook page and will be selling all of his books throughout the tour. Okay, good. Okay, good. I hope that means it. So tell me if that means that Dr. Anderson will be making money from this Powernomics tour. Because when I read from Afropunk did not say anything about Claude Anderson other than the fact that the Powernomics tour comes from his book. But if that's the case, if he's getting money, I think that's great. Or even if they just said, we're going to donate 10, 20% of the proceeds to the Harvest Institute, which is Dr. Claude Anderson's think tank, that would mean a lot too. Because here's the thing, Dr. Anderson's institute, they've been fighting on a lawsuit. This is why I tell you guys to be cautious about, forming, these alliances with all the Native American tribes, because they haven't always been your allies, your supporters. Last time I talked to Dr. Anderson in DC, one thing he said is that I think he was speaking specifically about the Cherokee Nation, but he was saying, just generally speaking, during slavery, Native Americans, a lot of the tribes had more slaves than white people did. They treated black people worse than white folks did. Also, when black people ran away from the plantation, I believe it was the Cherokees, but I think it was a couple other tribes too. They would go and they would hunt the runaway slaves, and they would give certain, I think he said they got $20 if they brought back, or $25 if they brought back the body, $20 if they brought back the scalp. So they would find runaway slaves, find black people who escaped, and they would scalp them, and they would sell their scalps, and then also he talked about this treaty. He's been suing for years over this treaty. And the reason it's important for you guys to, if you go on this Powernomics tour with Lauryn Hill and Nas, talk to them about giving some of that, some of those proceeds to the Harvest Institute. These lawsuits, this lawsuit he filed over this treaty on behalf of black folks, it's hit them hard financially. It's very expensive, and what's also true is that the Obama administration was not supportive of the lawsuit. They didn't, they blockaded at every turn. And also, I think that we've come up short in terms of offering financial support to the Harvest Institute, to, what they're doing with this lawsuit. Because basically what he's saying is that there is an Indian treaty that says, I have to get the details of Michael Imhotep. I wish he was here because he could break it all down in detail. But, there's an Indian treaty that says black folks basically are owed hundreds of billions of dollars in money and land that they were supposed to get as part of this Indian treaty. What happened was the Cherokee Nation, if I'm not mistaken, I'll make sure, I think it's the Cherokee Nation, basically wanted to cut black people out. They had black people that were in the Cherokee Nation because they were former slaves, and then they got freed, and then they had children, and they considered themselves Cherokee. So what the Cherokee Nation did was they said, well, we don't want these black people to get any of this money. So we're gonna work with white folks and create a law to cut them out. We're going to cut them out of all the, so all their money for the, all the reservation land and the casinos and all that. We want to cut them out by basically having, I believe it was a clause that says something to the effect that, your great grandfather or something had to be Cherokee or something, where they knew it would cut the black people out, and the black people didn't get anything from this. So he's been suing for that for many years. And so, and again, forgive me if I got some of the details wrong, but I do know that that's going on, and you can read more about it. I think the website is it's either theharvestinstitute.org. If you go into Google and type in the Harvest Institute, Dr. Claude Anderson, you'll find it. It'll come right up. So make sure that you are aware of this. Make sure you know who your friends are. You see, what Black folks unfortunately get stuck into is that we get tricked into voting against our interests, supporting people who don't like us, really getting behind people who would not get behind you. And I'm not a fan of any of that, so you're never going to see me putting anybody ahead of Black folks. I'm not going to put Native Americans ahead of Black folks because Native Americans don't put Black folks ahead of them. I'm not going to put, DACA ahead of Black folks because the people that are supporting DACA, they would never put Black folks ahead of themselves. I'm not looking for a bandwagon to jump on. We're looking for bandwagons to build. You build a bandwagon and you let other people jump on your bandwagon. If you get in the car, you need to own the car and be the driver. Don't get in the back seat of somebody else's car, or these white folks gonna put your Black ass in the trunk. Seriously. So what I would say to you, Black people, is you got to understand the game you're playing, the fact that you've been manipulated and misguided and misled and everything else. So I think that, just going back to Nas and Lauryn Hill, I think that it's great that they're doing this Powernomics tour. My speculation is that they're doing this because they see a lot of momentum kind of happening in this economic empowerment thing. I think they realize they can get a lot of support for Nas's venture capital fund, which I think that's fine. I mean, I think if you're going to support somebody, why not support Nas? I mean, as long as what he's doing is really on behalf of the Black community. I know that a lot of these guys, they'll have partnerships with people who are not Black, and that's fine. I think some partnerships are okay, but when you get to the point where you got a big team of white boys behind you and they're using the Black person as the figurehead, you got to be real cautious about that. Like, honestly, that deal with Jay-Z and the Brooklyn Nets, that whole arena, that was pretty much a scam in certain ways. It was a mirage. It was, because think about it. Why would you put a man on a billboard as if he's the owner of the team when he only owns 1/15 of 1% of the team? Well, you're doing that because you made him into a mascot. And so a lot of times the way Black folks are manipulated is they'll take a certain person you respect and put them out front to get the whole community to get behind something, when somebody else is really driving the whole wheel, driving the whole ship from behind the scenes. Now, it does not, but again, though, let's just be clear, though, it doesn't mean you can't have partnerships. I believe that the future of Black people economically is going to be one where we're going to have partnerships everywhere. But I think at the end of the day, there has to be clear measuring sticks on how Black people are benefiting, and also measuring sticks on how Black people benefit more than other people. I mean, are we re-gentrifying our own communities? Are we hiring lots of Black people? Or if you look at the companies that are being invested in by, whether it's Nas's company or anybody else's, are the majority of those companies receiving those funds, African-American companies? Little things like that, I think, go a long way to kind of saying, sort of looking at where we want to go as a community. But I do think partnerships are going to happen. They're inevitable. You can't avoid, it's hard to avoid white people and Asian people and everybody else, because I mean, they're here, they're economic players. And my belief is that the goal of Black people should be to become major players in the global economic game. When you become a major player, then sometimes you're going to have teammates that come from a different place from where you come from. But you just got to make sure that you have some say on how the team is going to play its game. So anyway, that's it. I'm gonna get out of here. I'm actually supposed to get back to work. I wish Lauryn Hill and Nas the best. I don't know either one of them, but if one of them happens to see this video, just know there's no shade, no hate, no nothing. I think that it's great you're doing Powernomics. I think it's great that you're supporting Black economic empowerment. Don't be scared to use the word Black. Don't be scared to target Black folks. With some of your message. I know that becomes complex, for some of these artists, but I mean, I just really think we got to put Black people on Front Street. And Black people, when they come to your city, show them some love, show them some support, but then also email me, let me know what you think. My email, you can email my assistant, it's at boycewatkins.com, staff at boycewatkins.com. Email her and send me your reports. If you go to the tour and you think it's bullshit, then let me know and I'll get on here and I'll talk about what I read. And if you think it's great, then I'll do the same thing, because Lord knows I think Nas is a great artist, and I do believe that he's trying to do the right thing. And I think he's got the right idea. You know, it's economic empowerment that's going to flip this whole game on his head. I ain't sitting around worried about what Donald Trump did last week, or, you know, whether DACA is going to get passed or not, or whatever people are talking about. No, I'm talking about Black people building things. That this is the era of the builder. We must all become Bob the Builder as a community. You know, that means we have to build our own stuff. You must build your own shit, because that other man's shit ain't your shit, and he gonna treat you like shit. So if you want to have strength, you want to have power, build your own shit. That's got to be our motto for this generation. Build our own. In fact, we should build our own shit. That should be our motto for about 150 years. Period. That's how long it's going to take for us to play catch up, because we got a lot of work to do. So anyway, just so you know, the All Black National Convention is taking place September 29th through October 1st in Louisville, Kentucky. I hope you guys will come out. It's going to be awesome. Last year, you saw some of the scenes. You saw where Killer Mike just set the stage on fire, as well as all the other guests from Zaza Ali. She was actually there last year. She's coming back this year. Center this year, we got Dr. Kevin Cosby, president of Simmons College. Willie D from the Ghetto Boys, who's become an extraordinary activist. He's gonna come through. Victory Boyd, a great singer. She just got signed by Rock Nation. And when I heard Victory sing for the first time, I said, this lady is probably one of the greatest singers I've ever heard. Shaquita Graham, you've seen her actually on my channel a lot. She's one of the great Black women around. She's big on technology. You know, she's really big on getting Black folks into tech. So is Michelle Martin. Michelle and Shaquita are both big on Black technology. Shauna Etienne is a therapist who's been on my channel as well. She's going to be there. We're going to have a lot of pastors there to kind of represent the church. We're going to have scholars there. We got guys like Ryan McCrary, founder of McCrary Financial Solutions and ibuyblack.org. Michael Imhotep, the founder of the African History Network, which has become kind of like the Black CNN, really. Dr. Tyra Selden, the founder of the Selden Writing Group and GreatBlackWriters.com. Sharif Abdul Malik, who created WeBuyBlack.com, one of the great e-commerce sites in this world right now. This brother's killing it. Madam President, a huge, extraordinarily good spoken word artist. Jay Morrison, Mr. Real Estate, will be there. He just started the Tulsa Real Estate Fund, which is really exciting. I'm glad to be a part of that. I'm glad he invited me to be a part of that. Vigilante, an awesome hip hop artist out of Kansas City. Andre C. Hatchett, president of Black Men United. Nicole Compton, an attorney at law, who's a brilliant Black woman. So it's going to be really good. It's going to be really awesome. We're going to screen a lot of films. It's going to be a hell of a time. It'll be, a lot of fun. It'll be as much fun as you would have if you went to a Tom Joyner thing. The only difference is we ain't gonna spend all our time doing line dances and laughing the whole time. There's a time to laugh, and then there's a time to be serious. So after we do some laughing and camaraderie and hang out and have fun, we're also going to have action plans. We're going to form committees. We're going to put together, we're going to pool resources. We're going to allow people to come together to be able to network and build together. The goal is to make sure that when you walk away, that you are a different person. We do not want anybody to walk away from the convention the same as they were when they got there. So I hope you'll come check it out. You can go to allblacknationalconvention.com, allblacknationalconvention.com. And I made a joke the other day. I said, look, if you're trying to do a girls trip, I personally think this will be a great girls trip, because the people that follow me are young brothers between 25 and 40. And these ain't no punks. I don't roll with punks. The men that tend to follow me tend to be men who understand what manhood looks like. They tend to understand what it means to support and empower Black women and Black families. They know what it means to go out here and get something. They ain't sitting around feeling sorry for themselves. They take care of their kids. These are good men. So to me, if you want to make it a girls trip, make it a girls trip. If you meet a brother at one of our events, he's going to be a real Black man. He's not going to be no punk. So I hope that you'll consider coming to the convention. I think you're going to love it. allblacknationalconvention.com. Also, 2 weeks after that, I'm going to be in London. So if you want to come and watch some movies with me in London and talk turkey and talk business and talk Black, everything else, we will be in London. You can go to drboycelondon.com. That's drboycelondon.com. And also, just one more thing you can know in case you're interested. If you want your children to start their wealth building journey, you want to check out our financial flashcards for children, you can go to financialflashcards.com. That's financialflashcards.com. All right, guys, I'm about to get out of here. Have an awesome day, and I will see you soon. Be good.